Jake Carter was not new to war. He had served on 3 alien worlds and faced creatures that could rip through steel. But nothing prepared him for his new assignment. A week ago, he was called into the commander's tent on Station D-47, a human, base set deep in alien jungle territory. "Carter," the commander said, "you've been assigned a canary combat partner. They've agreed to share one of their warriors with us for joint operations." Jake raised an eyebrow. "A canary? Aren't they the tall wolf aliens with claws bigger than my hand?" The commander smirked. "Exactly. Play nice." The first time Jake saw her, he felt like she didn't belong on a battlefield. Rava stood 7 feet tall. Her fur was a smooth mix of silver and dark gray, shining under the station lights. Her golden eyes studied Jake with sharp focus. She didn't speak at first, just nodded. Her voice finally came, clear and calm. "I am Rava of Clan Threx. I will protect your back, human." Jake smiled. "Just don't bite it." She didn't smile back. Their first few patrols were quiet. Too quiet. Rava moved like a ghost through the trees, silent, fast, deadly. Jake had seen elite human scouts, but none moved like her. Still, she didn't talk much. She only spoke when needed. Jake tried jokes, stories, even food. Nothing worked. But one evening, something shifted. They were on night patrol near the forest edge. Jake set up the perimeter while Rava stood guard. "Why do you laugh so much?" she suddenly asked, staring at the stars. Jake shrugged. "Because if I don't, this place will eat me alive." She tilted her head. "Laughter is a strange weapon. It keeps me human," Jake replied. Rava turned her eyes to him, and for the first time they didn't feel cold. The next night, disaster struck. An ambush. Explosions rocked the jungle floor. Jake and Rava dove behind fallen logs as alien drones flew overhead, firing plasma rounds. One of the blasts hit near Jake's leg, sending him flying. His helmet cracked. Blood ran down his forehead. His comms were dead. Then, everything went dark. When he woke up, it was silent. Smoke floated in the air, and Rava was dragging him into a cave. "You are not allowed to die," she said flatly, her body covered in burn marks and cuts. Jake groaned. "You really care, huh? You are my human. I protect what is mine." Inside the cave, she cleaned his wounds. Her hands, once cold and professional, were now slow and careful. She curled her body around him at night to keep him warm. When Jake asked why, she simply said, "You are weak. I must keep your body heat stable." But Jake noticed something more. She started bringing him food. She licked his wounds to help them heal faster, her species way. And once, while Jake was sleeping, she sang a low song in her own tongue. By the 5th night, Jake was strong enough to sit up. He looked at her and said, "You've changed, Rava." She didn't deny it. "I have bonded." Jake blinked. "Bonded? It is not your custom. But in canary culture, when one saves a life and the other gives warmth, it is the beginning of family." Jake laughed softly. "So we're, what, dating now?" Rava looked him dead in the eye. "No. We are preparing." "For what?" She stood, walked over to him, placed a hand on his chest and said, "You should prepare, human. We're having puppies." Jake froze. "What?" Rava was serious when she said it. Jake thought maybe it was a joke, a strange alien joke. But the look in her golden eyes told him otherwise. They were having puppies. Jake didn't even know if that was biologically possible. He wasn't even sure what happened in that cave when he was injured. He had barely been conscious. But the mission wasn't over. No time for questions. No time for rest. The forest around them was still dangerous, and now something else had changed. Rava was acting strange. 2 days after the ambush, Command ordered a deep scan of enemy positions. Jake and Rava were told to travel to Ridge 09, a high cliff overlooking the hostile zone. "Can you handle it?" Jake asked. "I must," Rava replied. "For us." Jake blinked. "For us?" She didn't explain. They moved through the thick forest. Jake noticed her ears twitching more often, her claws out, her nose sniffing the air every few seconds. Her behavior was different, more alert, more protective. When a bird flew past, she stepped in front of Jake instantly. "Relax," he said, smiling. "It's just a bird." "It flew too close," she growled. That night, they stopped near a river. Jake cooked a small meal from ration packs. Rava didn't eat. Her hands were resting on her belly. And for the first time, Jake noticed it was fuller, slightly rounded, not just from food. He stared. "Rava, are you seriously pregnant?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, our bond was true. It triggered the canary cycle." Jake rubbed his eyes. "That's not possible." But she reached for his hand, placed it on her stomach, and he felt it, a small warm flutter. Movement. Jake's jaw dropped. Oh my God. The next day, something went wrong. As they climbed the rocky edge of Ridge 09, a sniper shot rang out. Crack! Jake dropped to the ground. "Cover!" he yelled. But Rava didn't hide. She stood in front of him like a shield. Her eyes scanned the treetops. Another shot fired. It missed, but only barely. She roared, a deep, echoing howl, and then leapt into the trees. Seconds passed. Then silence. A loud snap echoed from above. A body fell from the trees, a scout drone operator from the enemy faction. Rava returned, with blood on her claws and eyes burning. "No one touches you," she growled. At the top of the ridge, they finally sent the recon data. But Jake noticed her breathing getting heavy. "You okay?" he asked. Rava didn't answer. She leaned against a rock and winced. Jake ran to her side. "Is it the wound?" "No," she said weakly. "It's them. They are growing fast." Jake's heart raced. "Already? Canary pregnancies must be different, faster, stronger. And if the bond was real, if these puppies were even partly human, they weren't just rare. They were impossible." "Command won't like this," Jake muttered. "They will fear it," Rava replied. She looked up at him, eyes soft now. "You must decide soon, Jake. Will you stand with me, or leave before they come?" Jake touched her, fur gently. "I don't run," he said. "Not from this. Not from you." She smiled, just barely, her hand wrapped around his. Then, behind them, they heard something, a distant hum in the air. Dropships. Command was coming for them, but were they coming to help or to separate them? The dropships landed with a thundering roar. Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he helped Rava stand. Her breath was short, her muscles tense, and her golden eyes locked onto the incoming figures, like a protective beast ready to fight. But these weren't enemies. These were humans. Well-armed soldiers stepped out of the transport, weapons drawn, not in defense but in suspicion. "Sergeant Carter," one of them barked. "Stand down and step away from the alien." Jake didn't move. Rava growled low under her breath. "They smell of fear." "They're not here to help, are they?" Jake whispered. "No," she replied. "They are here. For the pups." A tall woman in a white coat stepped forward. Her badge read Dr. Elena Rhodes, Xenobiology Division. She didn't speak to Jake. She walked directly to Rava and held up a scanning device. It beeped once, then turned green. Her eyes went wide. "It's true." Jake stepped in front of her. "What's going on?" Elena looked at him now, like he was a puzzle piece that didn't belong. "You've done something no one thought possible," she said coldly. "You triggered a canary genetic imprint. She's bonded, and she's carrying hybrid offspring." Jake swallowed hard. "They're alive in there, half human." She nodded. "That's exactly why they're dangerous. They were taken to the base, not to the med bay, not to a rest unit, to containment." Jake sat behind a glass wall, hands cuffed. Rava was in the next room, watched by armed guards and drones. She paced in circles, snarling if anyone got too close. From the speaker, Jake heard her voice. Jake, they try to separate. As I feel it, the bond, it weakens when you're far. Jake pressed his hand to the glass. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. But he was scared. Not of Rava. He was scared of what the humans might do. Inside the lab, scientists buzzed around, taking notes. Some saw Rava as a test subject. Others whispered about weaponization. Dr. Elena returned with a cold stare. We need to remove the embryos before they develop further. They're unstable, unknown. Jake stood up so fast his chair slammed back. You're talking about my children. They're not just yours, she snapped. They're military. Property now. You broke protocol. You made contact beyond regulation limits. This is bigger than you. Jake shook with anger. You don't get it. She chose me. Not because of an order, because I treated her like an equal. She's not equal, Elena whispered. She's not even human. Jake leaned in, calm and deadly. No, but she's more human than you right now. That night, Rava started to cry out. Jake heard her through the wall, sharp, painful noises. She's in distress, he shouted. No, one answered. He banged on the glass. She needs help. When no one came, he did something insane. He slammed his shoulder into the glass again, and again. Blood ran from his forehead, his shoulder bruised. Finally, crack. The emergency alarms screamed. Guards rushed in, but Jake had already slipped out of the door as it opened. He grabbed a stun baton and charged into Rava's room. Jake, she gasped, her knees buckling. He caught her in his arms. I'm here. I've got you. He turned to the nearest guard. You want to stop me? He growled. You'll have to go through both of us. The guard hesitated. One looked unsure. Another lowered his weapon. Then, something incredible happened. Rava's belly shimmered. A glow, faint, silver blue, pulsed beneath her skin. One guard whispered, What are those things? Jake stood taller. They're not things. They're the future. The room was frozen in shock. Rava lay on the floor, weak but conscious. Jake held her, his arm wrapped tightly around her trembling shoulders. But everyone's eyes were focused on one thing, her glowing stomach. A soft, pulsing blue light moved. Under her skin, like tiny stars blinking inside her, no one spoke. Even the guards were stunned. Some lowered their weapons. One backed away slowly. Jake didn't look at them. His eyes stayed on her. Stay with me, Rava. Just breathe. She nodded. They're speaking. I can feel them, trying to connect. Jake looked confused. Speak? Who? The pups, she whispered. They're not just forming, they're aware. Within minutes, alarms blared again, this time bringing in medical staff and high-ranking officers. Dr. Elena returned, eyes wide but curious now instead of angry. She wasn't alone. A new face stepped forward, an old alien male with smooth blue skin and black robes. I am Dr. Menkari, he said. I represent the Canary Science Council. We've been watching this closely. He stepped near Rava, knelt slowly, and placed a scanner near her stomach. The light pulsed again, faster this time. His eyes widened. Impossible, he said. The offspring are already forming neural links. At this rate, they'll have functional brains in days, not months, Jake asked. What does that mean? Dr. Elena answered, her voice softer now. It means they're evolving, rapidly. No known species grows this fast, not even the canary. Rava's eyes fluttered open. They are more than us. They are the bridge. Menkari turned to the room. This union was never meant to happen. Our species feared it. Humans and canary are too different, too volatile. But nature doesn't ask for permission. Jake stood up, guarding Rava. So what now? You going to kill them? Experiment on them? Elena looked down. That's what some want, especially the military. Jake clenched his fists. Menkari raised a hand. But there are others who believe this is the future. A new species. One that could unite our worlds. They moved Rava to a secure med bay, far from the command center. Here, Jake stayed by her side day and night. Machines monitored her and the pups. But nothing could explain what was happening. Every hour, the scans changed. Bones formed faster than science allowed. Nerve signals traveled between mother and offspring. Even stranger, Rava's mind began to sync with Jake's. One night, as he sat beside her bed, she looked up suddenly. "You dream of oceans," she whispered. Jake frowned. "How do you know that?" She touched her belly. "Because they know, and they show me." The next day, Dr. Elena returned. She didn't come with guards, just a small device. She placed it on the table. A soft hologram floated above it, showing two strange shapes. Fetal images, human, but not fully. Jake stared. "That's them?" Elena nodded. "They're not just hybrids. They're creating something new, a neural energy signature we've never seen before. It's alive, conscious, before birth." Rava stirred. "They are watching, listening." Jake asked, "Are they dangerous?" Elena hesitated. "We don't know, but they could be the most advanced minds ever born." Menkari's voice came from the door. "That is why we must protect them, before others decide to destroy them." Later that night, Jake couldn't sleep. He sat beside Rava, watching. The soft blue light glowed gently from her body. "They're coming soon, aren't they?" he whispered. "Yes," she replied, her voice calm. "They choose their moment. They are not like us." Jake leaned closer. "Do you think they'll be accepted?" Rava looked at him, a soft smile on her face. "If they are born in fear, they will learn fear. But if they are born in love, they might save both our worlds." Outside, the sound of engines hummed. New ships were arriving, but Jake didn't flinch. He was ready. The quiet didn't last long. At sunrise, the ground near the research base shook as heavy carriers landed. They weren't medical. They weren't science. These were black armored military dropships, marked with the Earth Defense Force insignia. Jake stood at the observation window, his hands curled into fists. "They're here," he said quietly, "and not for peace." Inside the med bay, Rava's breathing grew uneven. She could feel it too. "They bring fear," she whispered. And, orders soaked in blood, General Weller stepped out of the lead ship, tall, cold, and known for never asking questions twice. He marched through the corridors, boots echoing with power. Soldiers followed him like shadows. He didn't knock when he entered the lab. He simply walked in and stared at Rava through the glass. "So," he said flatly, "this is the alien who thinks she's a mother." Jake turned to face him. "She is a mother." The general raised an eyebrow. "We'll see." In a private meeting, General Weller spoke with Dr. Elena, Jake, and the alien scientist Menkari. His voice was calm, but his words sharp like knives. "This situation is a threat," Weller began. "An unauthorized interspecies pregnancy with unknown consequences. We cannot allow it to continue uncontrolled." Jake leaned forward. "They're not weapons. They're children." The general didn't blink. "They're biological anomalies. If they survive, others may try to create more. Can you imagine the chaos? Entire fleets of psychic hybrids? We'll lose control of everything." Menkari interrupted. "Or gain peace in ways you never imagined." Weller's cold eyes locked on him. "Peace built on secrets is war waiting to happen." Later, Weller pulled Jake aside. "You're a good soldier," he said. "I read your record. Brave. Loyal." Jake nodded slowly. "And I stand by her. That won't change." Weller didn't smile. "Then you're making yourself an enemy of Earth Command." Jake didn't hesitate. Maybe Earth Command should try listening to something other than fear. Meanwhile, inside the med bay, something began to change again. Rava's body. Temperature rose, machines beeped warnings. Her glowing belly grew brighter, the energy inside pulsing like waves. Elena rushed in. They're growing faster. Hours, not days. Menkari watched the scans, his eyes wide. Their minds are stabilizing. They're communicating with each other, Jake whispered. They're talking before they're even born. But then a silent alarm flashed red. Security override. Weller had taken control of the lab. The doors locked. Armed guards surrounded the medbay. A cold voice came through the speakers. It was Weller. You have 1 hour to comply. Turn over the subjects for extraction, or we will use force. Jake grabbed a rifle from the cabinet. His hands shook, not with fear but fury. I'm done asking, he muttered. Elena stared at him. You'll go against Earth Command? Jake nodded. I'll go against anyone who threatens my family. Rava opened her eyes slowly. Her voice was calm but full of power. The pups are awake. They know danger is near. Jake stepped close. Then we fight. Together. She nodded. Together. The light in her belly flared. Then something unexpected happened. Every screen in the lab went black. Every monitor flickered with static. A message appeared in glowing symbols. It wasn't from the humans. It wasn't from the canary. It was from them. The unborn pups were speaking. They had taken control of the system, and their message was clear. We are here. We will not be taken. The lab fell into total silence. Monitors flickered with glowing alien code. Lights dimmed. The electric hum of machines quieted like they were holding their breath. On every screen, a single message pulsed in strange blue symbols. Symbols that had never been seen before. We are here. We will not be taken. Jake stared in disbelief. They're not even born. And they're already hacking systems, Doctor. Elena whispered. No, they're speaking. Through the machines, through everything. Menkari stepped back in awe. They are not just children. They are something new. Something the galaxy has never known. Outside, General Weller was losing patience. Override everything, he barked to his tech team. Cut power. Cut life support. I want that lab open. But no one could do it. The systems wouldn't respond. The unborn pups were protecting their mother. They've taken control of the entire facility, a frightened soldier muttered. We're locked out of our own base, Weller growled. Then prepare for breach protocol. If we can't open the doors, we blow them down. Inside, Jake knew time was running out. He turned to Elena and Menkari. We need to move her, now, before they destroy the lab. But where? Elena asked. Jake clenched his jaw. Somewhere they won't follow. He turned to the console. Can the pups still hear me? The lights blinked. Once, then twice. Yes. Jake smiled. Okay, little ones, help us get out. Suddenly, vents along the wall popped open. Floor locks disengaged with metallic clicks. The facility's emergency tunnels, long abandoned and sealed, came to life. Menkari's eyes widened. They're opening a path, underground. Jake grabbed Rava gently. Her body was glowing, her breath short and quick. They're close, she whispered. Hours, maybe less. He lifted her in his arms. Then let's bring them into a world where they won't be hunted. The escape began. Jake carried Rava through dim metal, tunnels lit only by the soft blue light from her belly. Elena followed close behind, holding a portable medkit. Menkari guarded the rear. Behind them, the sounds of explosions echoed. Weller had launched breach charges. They're coming, Elena said. Jake didn't look back. Let them try. Midway, through the tunnels they reached a sealed bulkhead. Jake slammed his fist on it. Blocked! The lights in Rava's belly flashed fast and sharp. Suddenly the bulkhead hissed and opened on its own. The pups were guiding them like living keys. Jake looked down at Rava, astonished. Your kids are geniuses. She smiled weakly. They are not mine alone. They are us. Finally, the tunnel opened to a hidden hangar, abandoned, rusted, forgotten by the military. But one small ship remained, a scout transport. just big enough. Jake rushed aboard and strapped Rava into the medbed. Elena and Menkari powered up the engines. Outside, alarms blared louder. Soldiers swarmed into the hangar. Weller stood at the entrance, his rifle raised. "Don't do this, Carter." Jake stood in the ship's doorway. "You already lost," Jake said. "And one day, you'll thank us." Weller fired, but just before the bullet hit, the air between them shimmered. A glowing shield appeared, floating, humming, born from pure light. It was the pups. They had protected their father. The engines roared. The ship rose from the ground and blasted through the sky, disappearing into the stars. Rava gripped Jake's hand. Her voice shook. "It's time." Jake leaned close. "Then let's meet our family." Stars stretched endlessly outside the ship's window, quiet and distant. Inside there was no silence, only the rising tension of something ancient and new. Rava lay in the medical bed, her fur damp with sweat, her body glowing with soft blue, light that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, and theirs. Jake held her hand, sitting beside her as the ship drifted through deep space. "How far are we from them?" Rava asked, her voice weak but steady. "Light years," Jake whispered, "and still not far enough." But there was no more running. Now, there was only arrival. Dr. Elena moved quickly around the medbay, adjusting machines, checking vitals. Even she couldn't hide her nerves. "Her body's entering an accelerated birthing phase," she said. "The hybrids are guiding the process themselves." Jake blinked. "They're delivering themselves?" Menkari stood by the monitor, watching the strange blue readings flash. "No, they are guiding their mother and teaching her." "Teaching her what?" Jake asked. "How to let go," Menkari replied. "Because what is coming was never meant to be controlled." Rava cried out, and Jake gripped her tighter. Her body arched. Her breath grew rapid, but she wasn't afraid. "They're close," she whispered. "I can see them, not with my eyes, but with my mind." Jake leaned in. "Then let's bring them into this world." Suddenly, the lights across the ship dimmed, then changed color. Everything turned blue. A calm, glowing blue that felt like moonlight underwater. The ship's very energy began to shift. Even the engines pulsed with the same rhythm as Rava's body. "They're inside everything," Elena breathed. "Even the ship." The temperature changed. The gravity softened. And then, one final cry. A flash of bright living light. And then, silence. Rava collapsed back against the bed, her body limp but smiling. Jake looked down, and in her arms, wrapped in soft canary fur and pulsing light, were 3 small pups. But they didn't cry. They looked up, eyes glowing with human curiosity and alien wisdom. One of them reached out and touched Jake's face and then spoke. Not with a mouth, but inside his mind. "Father." Jake froze. The word wasn't loud. It was soft, warm, full of love and ancient depth. Like the voice of a memory that hadn't happened yet. Rava turned to him. "They know who you are," she said gently. "And they chose you. Just like I did." Tears filled Jake's eyes. "What are they?" Elena answered softly. "They're not a mix of human and canary. They're something new, something beyond. A third kind." Suddenly, alarms beeped from the control panel. A message. Broadcast signal. Intercepted. General Weller's face appeared on the monitor. But this time, he looked shaken. "This is Commander Weller of Earth Defense. We have received a signal from your ship. Not from you. From them." He paused, swallowed. "They showed us something. Visions, peace, unity, and a warning." Jake narrowed his eyes. "What kind of warning?" Weller looked directly into the camera. "That if we don't accept them, they'll leave. All of them. Not just these 3. Others like them, born across galaxies. They'll vanish, and we'll lose our chance." Jake turned to Rava. She was smiling now, eyes full of light. "They are not just our children," she said. "They are the seed of something better." Menkari stepped forward, bowing slightly. "They will not belong to any one world. They will belong to all. And maybe, finally, we will belong to each other." Jake looked out the window at the stars. He thought of war, pain, loneliness. Then he looked at the pups, tiny hands wrapped around his finger, and he knew. This was how it all changed. Not with fire, not with war, but with life.